everything we can know about a destination, everything we can know about the cruise lines, everything we know about the time of the year, and the excursions that we recommend you to do from first-hand experience, so we can better counsel you as to the type of vacation that would be the best fit for you. That's been the secret of our success for literally 30 years. I will tell you this, we, year in and year out, and this is just not what we find at our company, but everybody in the industry finds this out. Alaska, year in and year out, is the #1 or #2 destination in the entire world for satisfaction. For satisfaction. So, you will have a lot of options to think about. Our goal is to counsel you so you get the best vacation that you want. Saying that, I would also say, I've been there 16 times. I literally just got back from Alaska a week ago Friday. These are pictures. Kelsey, can you hold them? We had 2 of our staff come to Alaska, go on to Alaska on the Holland America Oyster Dam. And these are their pictures that they took right off their balcony of a whale in Sitka. Actually, a few whales. Now, I think Holland America must hire those whales. Just like you hire the bear in Denali Park. No, that's the one thing about it. But I want to tell you this, without, as serious as I can say anything to you, please, 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 please put Alaska on your bucket list. Do it, do it, do it. You'll be so glad you did. We used to sell Alaska as a once-in-a-lifetime trip. We don't anymore, because people like me go back and back and back and back again, and they just do something different. But I've been all over the world, 103 countries, all around the world. Nowhere in the world will you see a destination more impressive than Alaska when you consider the mountains, the glaciers, and the wildlife. And what we will ask of you is, what's your hot buttons? What do you want to see and do? Literally, I just had a talk here just a minute ago. If whales is your big thing, I love whales. I think whales are the coolest thing. But whales, the best time of the year, in my estimation, we'll let the people that go there all the time tell you theirs, is in that late May, early mid-June, early July time frame. If not, we know the places to go where whales frolic and eat all season long. Not people, but eat the food they normally eat. So, and that said, my gosh, there's so many cool things to do. If you ever wanted to be a dinner-on racer, anybody here want to do 1,100 miles in freezing cold weather, trying to stay awake 20 some odd hours a day for 11 straight days? Nobody? Neither do I. But you get to go and experience dog mushing on dog sleds with some of the same dogs that do the Iditarod. And that sort of thing is fabulous. The helicopter trips, all the things that there are to do in Alaska are second to none anywhere in the world. So today, this is our 12th year of doing this event called On Stage Alaska. It's sponsored by Holland America Line, and I think this is the coolest thing, because Holland America brings in their Alaska experts that take people like you when you're on your vacation into the inland part of Alaska on these tours. So they're going to give you the tips that they've learned over the years, how to dress. I love this. They'll tell you when the best 2 days of summer are. and some of the things that you need to know. We at Cruise Holidays have partnered with Holland America Line literally for all 30 years of the time we've been in business. We right now are on Holland America's advisory board. So we have great relationships with Holland America Line, which is really important for you, because if there's ever an issue and we can help you take care of that, if you've done business with us, we'll have your back, and we know the right people to go to. The other thing is our buying power. You guys, we are part of an organization called Travel Leaders. Travel Leaders has a 23, listen to this, 23 billion with a B, $23 billion worth of buying power in the travel industry. So they're one of Holland America's biggest customers in the world. That means buying power for you. Lastly, we do this event, we ask Holland America to have their Onstage Alaska people come in September, because believe it or not, October, when weather starts to change, is the biggest time of the year when people start planning their Alaska vacation. So we want you to be the early bird getting the word, because you have to understand that Alaska is so popular, the tours will fill up much faster even than the cruise ships. But everybody on Alaska wants balconies. We have more and more people doing multi-generational trips or Three Sisters trips that decided they're going to be nice and bring their husbands along with them. If you want cabins close together, you do need to be thinking far enough ahead of time. If you're going to go in summer and take kids in your room, the third and fourth, the cabins that have availability to sleep 3 or 4, they sell out very quickly too. So that's why we're having this event today. I'm going to introduce Kelsey and Rachel. They are going to talk to you and show you by a PowerPoint presentation and tell you all about their experiences and the tips they have for you to plan the right Alaska vacation. Then at the end of this, what we'll do is we'll introduce you to our staff. They're the pretty girls in the back in the hot coral. I used to see in the back, now look at this, here's a couple of models here. Go ahead, Aubrey, let's do that sure. Yeah, you got it. There we go. And, yeah. And our goal is to help, and my encouragement is to help get you started in the planning process ahead of where the rush is. Because come October, seriously, every year this happens, the rush to book Alaska vacations for next summer season, and the season is mid-May through mid-September, generically, then as the availability goes down, the price goes up. So this is real important for you to consider. The last thing I will say is you have so many options. Our goal is to find the best fit for what you're looking for with your time and your dollar budgets. That's both very important, I know. So we'll find that best fit for you. But if you're only thinking about doing the cruise, may I please ask you to consider doing both, the land and the cruise part, the cruise and the land part. If you don't, 80% of our customers who do just the cruise will go back within 3 to 4 years and do the cruise and then the land. So you can save yourself several thousands of dollars of your kids' inheritance by doing them both the first time or now. Okay? So with that said, let me turn it over to Rachel and Kelsey. Let's give them a very big round of applause.
Thank you so much, Mark. We're so happy to be here. Thank you to the whole team at Cruise Holidays of Kansas City. Kelsey and I just got back from Alaska 2 weeks ago, a little less than 2 weeks ago. So we are fresh from the cold north, and we're enjoying this nice warmth up here. As Mark mentioned, I'm a tour director in Alaska. Kelsey and I, we spent the whole summer up there. That's Kelsey. I'm Rachel. We're originally from San Diego, California. And before we get the show started, we just want to do some little housekeeping. We want to make sure everybody has their booklet, Alaska and the Yukon. I think we got one that's a map and one that's a little thicker. That's the booklet with some more details. And then if you haven't done so already, now's a great time to silence your cell phone. That way everyone can enjoy the presentation. And then for questions, if you could hold them until the end of the presentation. Most of them will be answered throughout, but Kelsey and I will stick around at the end. That way we can answer anything that remains unanswered for you. Well, as I mentioned, we're so happy to be here. Originally, I'm from San Diego, California. I got my love of travel by traveling with my family. My family took motorhome and camping trips across the United States, and we visited national parks. And the top photo here on the left, this is my family here in Chichen Itza, Mexico a few years ago. And then when I was in college, I spent a year studying abroad in Lyon, France. The photos here are with who I affectionately call my bread guy. I met him my first weekend in Lyon at the Sunday market. And this photo, this is 2004, the first time, or the first year. I took that picture at the end of the year. And then every time I go back, I visit him. He speaks only French, no English, and I take another picture. So this one over here is in December, the last time I went back. Yeah, I love bread and I love the little friendship we made. But from all this travel with my family and studying abroad in college, I really discovered I had a passion for travel and sharing with others. And so for the last 6 years, I've been leading folks all throughout the United States, visiting national parks and major cities. And then for the last 3 years, I took my tour directing up to Alaska, leading tours for Holland America Line. And one of my favorite things about Alaska is not only is it full of great adventures, but it's full of so many adventurous people, all of you who come visit, as well as all the people that I get to work with up there. And I'm lucky enough that I get one of my closest friends, Kelsey, working with us too.
And I'm Kelsey. I'm also from San Diego. I got my love for traveling with my family, going on road trips to national parks and camping up and down the California coastline. The outdoors has always had my heart, and it's just been something that just fills me with joy. Since watching Rachel's adventures in Alaska for the past 3 years, I decided it's my time. I'm gonna go to Alaska. I'm gonna travel up there and I'm gonna explore. So packed up everything, sold all my stuff, and Rachel and I decided to drive to Alaska. So as you can imagine, we had a lot of questions like, how can you drive to Alaska? Isn't it an island? Isn't it freezing? Isn't it snowing all the time up there?
Well, we blame those questions on the weatherman and this map. Everyone's familiar with this map from growing up, where you've got Alaska down here by Mexico, it's looking next to Hawaii. That's not where it belongs. Let's put it in its rightful place, up in the northwest. And as you can see, Alaska is so much larger than is depicted in the other map. If you place it over the lower 48, it covers about 1/5. Yeah, it extends almost entirely from east to west. It's 2.5 times the size of Texas. So it's quite a large area. Now, I like to kind of play a little game and see how you think your home state or state where you're living in now sizes up. So let's start with where we are, Kansas. Anyone have any guesses how many Kansases can fit inside Alaska? 4, 6, 8. Y'all are really close. It's 8. Winner! Now, I didn't want to leave out the neighbor next door, Missouri. So anyone have any guesses of Missouri? 6. 7. It's close. It's a close 9.4.
Really?
Yeah. So not too shabby. Now, let's go to the opposite end. How many Rhode Islands do you think have been in Alaska? It's a lot. It's 424.9. Alaska is massive.
It is pretty big. As big as Alaska is, I'm sure that your dream to go to Alaska is even bigger. There's so many items that you can check off your bucket list here, and my personal favorite is the wilderness. There are millions and millions of acres of untouched wilderness, and just like standing on top of a cliff like this and looking out and seeing all the ranges or driving past mountains just really makes you realize how small you are. It's incredible.
And how about glaciers? Massive rivers of ice. There's over 100,000 glaciers in Alaska, and you can see them by land, by sea, or by air.
And then there's Denali, which is the crown jewel of the Alaska Range. The indigenous people call her the Great One or the High One, because she's truly both of those. She stands at 20,310 feet, and she even creates her own weather, which is pretty incredible. So the chance of seeing her is pretty extraordinary.
Now you might be wondering, how did Denali National Park, how was it created? And it was actually first set aside to protect and preserve wildlife, specifically the Dall sheep. And on your journey throughout Alaska, you might have the chance to see some of what we like to call the Big Five: brown bear, Dall sheep, moose, caribou, and the wolf. And along the way, maybe you'll see the Ocean Five. And for any birders out there, maybe the Flying Five.
And you'll definitely want to make sure that you have your cameras ready, because these are some of the photos that I took on some of my adventures. The seals were from an excursion down in Seward, which is pretty incredible. Same with the whale, and then the moose were on one of my hikes. Also, you might have a chance in Anchorage to see a moose walking down the sidewalk. But you'll definitely want to make sure you're pretty far back and don't get in their way.
Now we mentioned we spend the whole summer up there in Alaska, and one of the things that we get that's extra special about our jobs is that we get to spend time with all of you, folks that come and visit. And through that, we get to hear your feedback, and one of the things that always comes back about Alaska experiences is that people are so glad when they've taken the extra time to do and see all that they want to. So our first tip for you today is take your time. Go to Alaska when you have the most time to spend there.
Now you're probably thinking, okay, great, sign me up, I'm going to Alaska. With Holland America, we're not gonna make you drive there. We have 3 different ways. You can cruise plus the Denali land portion, or all of that, the Yukon, which is a truly amazing experience in Canada. Now, the cruise is pretty fun. You get to go along a 1,000-mile long chain of islands called the Inside Passage. There you'll see mountains that jut up from the shoreline, beautiful waterfalls, majestic forests. It's pretty incredible.
And Holland America Line ships are built with Alaska specifically in mind. So they're perfectly sized. They have wide open bows just like this. So you can actually walk the entire perimeter of the promenade level to find that perfect spot on the railing. Also, new for 2020, we have the Koningsdam, which is coming to Alaska, making her debut. And then something really neat is that the Maasdam is bringing Zodiac, so you can actually get out even closer to some of these destinations on your adventures.
And then on board, there's a lot of cool things going on there. If you like music, they have B.B. King's Blues Club and Lincoln Center bring in musicians from all over to entertain you with their talents. If you're a foodie, they also serve the local cuisine, so it's pretty delicious.
And along your journey, some of the shore stops that the cruise ports will be.
There is Ketchikan, which is Alaska's first city. It's well known for Alaskan Native heritage, salmon fishing, and it rains about 153 inches per year there. It has a forest, which is very beautiful. You can also check out the Native Totem Pole Heritage Center, which houses 19th century unrestored totem poles. It's a great thing to check out.
And you know what the capital of Alaska is? Juneau, that's right. And while you're in Juneau, you might want to take a ride up the aerial tram to see a nice overview of the city. You may want to check out Matanuska Glacier, which is a famous glacier, or some of the best whale watching around.
And then there's my favorite port city, which is Skagway. This was the jumping off point for the 1898 Klondike Gold Rush, where all the stampeders came to try to make it rich. It's a really small city, so you can get from one side to the other, bump into some locals and hear their stories. And then my favorite excursion out of there is the Klondike and Yukon Railway. It takes you about 3,000 feet up in 20 miles, and you trace the history of the gold rush. It's pretty incredible.
Speaking of excursions, one of my favorites, all my favorites actually, include getting up in the air, but one of the most Alaskan ones I've done also happens to be out of Skagway. It is where you get on a helicopter, you get to go dog mushing on a glacier. So you fly up over the water out of Skagway, over the mountains, you land on the Denver Glacier, and this is the site that you are greeted with as your helicopter descends. Then you get to meet the sled dogs, play with the sled dogs, and then you get on a sled and you go around the Denver Glacier like you are in the Iditarod or the Yukon Quest. It's awesome. You sit in the front of the sled, the back of the sled, you get to try your hand at braking like a real dog musher, and then if all that's not enough, if there are puppies, you get to play with the puppies. Pretty cute, right?
The puppies are the best. The best thing though about Alaska is that everyone can go do their own thing during the day and then meet up during the night, share your stories, look at photos. It's pretty incredible. Let's hear from some of our friends.
There's something cleansing about being in nature, being in a place that is on such a massive scale. There's a reset button.
Alaska has a rich history. People came here from all over the world. That sense of adventure, not knowing really what they were going to find.
My favorite part is seeing it through the guest eyes, watching them just light up.
It gets you excited again. It makes you realize, oh hey, this is why I'm doing this.
It's our modern day gold rush.
Being with Holland America Line creates this connection with my guest.
They really are experts in travel.
You feel like you're a part of Alaska. It's just a different feeling here than anywhere else.
sea.
by experts.
We are Alaska.
Pretty gorgeous, right? Now, no matter what journey you choose, we strongly encourage you to get inland. Go beyond the coastline and expand that cruise into a land and sea journey, because what you see on land is completely different than what you see from the ocean.
If scenery and wildlife and excursions are on your bucket list, you'll definitely want to check out Denali. Denali is about 300 miles away from where the cruise ship comes in, so you won't really be able to see it from your ship. To give you an idea of how big Denali is, it's 6 million acres, which, to put that in size, is 6 Grand Canyons that can fit inside of the park. So it's pretty massive. When you look on the map, that's just like a tiny fraction of all of Alaska, but it's definitely a place you want to check out.
Yeah, it's really a place worth savoring, and we have 1, 2, and 3 night stays available, and you'll travel between Anchorage and Denali on the beautiful McKinley Explorer with these glass dome rail cars. Scenery is breathtaking. These are all photos that I took on tours. You might make some new friends, like these ones. They like to do the moose wave. And where you stay at Denali, it's the McKinley Chalet Resort. And in this photo here, I like to point this out because right down here, this is the McKinley Chalet Resort. It's nestled along the Nenana River, and then all this is all Denali National Park. So you really can't get any closer. Everywhere you walk on property, you have beautiful views just like this of Mount Healy. And one of our newest additions, Mark was mentioning it, Denali Square. It is a central gathering place with fire pits, live music. There's an artist in residence, ranger talks, a fabulous restaurant called Karsten's Public House. And then my personal favorite spot in Denali Square, it's the wood burning fire pit, because that is the one where you get to make s'mores. Now, what's sweeter than s'mores, you might be asking? Well, brand new this summer, we just opened a new 3-level building. It's filled with 55 Denali suites, and every level of the building has an outdoor gathering place with cozy furniture and fireplaces, so you can meet up with your new friends or friends you came with. And then inside the suites, they each have a private balcony and one other little amenity. You each get your own s'mores kit, so you can meet me at the fire pit.
And as I mentioned, Denali is 6 million acres, and you can only drive a car about 15 miles into there. So you're probably asking, well, how else can we check it out? All of our 2 and 3 night stays include a bus tour that takes you out into the park. The blue line right there is where most other tour companies go, but the purple line is where the Tundra Wilderness Tour takes you. The rectangle up there is where you can see most of the wildlife and the best chance to see the mountain. These are some doll sheep that I took on the Tundra Wilderness Tour. They just hang out.
You could be as happy as these crazy folks, Mom and Dad. Let's dive a little deeper into Denali.
Alaska has a rich history. People came here to explore, to strike it rich, and they came from all over the world. That sense of adventure, not knowing really what they were going to find. It's kind of what we have here at the McKinley Chalet Resort in Denali Square. My name is Tracy Smith. I'm the general manager at the McKinley Chalet Resort here in Denali National Park. The McKinley Chalet Resort is located just about a mile from the entrance of Denali National Park. And within the McKinley Chalet Resort, we have this amazing area called Denali Square. The whole thought behind it was Holland America Line wanted to create a gathering place. When you're down here and you look around you, you feel like you're a part of Alaska. You're looking up at Mount Healy, the trees are surrounding you. It's just a different feeling here than anywhere else. After I graduated from high school, and I ended up coming up for an entire summer, and I got a job working on board the train. I didn't know what I was in for when I started that summer job 20 years ago. I just remember that first day of getting on that train and traveling through the Alaska wilderness, interacting with all these people that just were so in love with this place. Making those connections is what drives me. Cruisers on Holland America Line all over the world come to Denali for that Alaska experience. And I have this opportunity to live here and share it with people. And I love to hear those stories, to know that what we've been working on for months and months is actually working. I love when the music's playing, and the fires are going, and people are dancing. I mean, that's vacation to me, and I just think it's different than other places, and it's special.
So as you can see, Denali is truly majestic. But we think that it gets even better when you add in the Yukon. The Yukon is about the size of California and Nevada put together, but there's only 35,000 people that live there. And 25,000 of those people live in the capital, which is Whitehorse.
So imagine only 35,000 people in such a large area. That means it's just you and that rugged, raw wilderness as you travel through. And the Yukon's so unique, as Kelsey mentioned. This photo here is actually of the Carcross Desert. It's the world's smallest desert, and it's just right in the middle of the Yukon. You're driving through, and out of nowhere, you got some sand dunes. So it's a pretty special place. It's the site of the 1898 Klondike Gold Rush, and Holland America has transformed what was once a 2-day drive between Fairbanks and Dawson City, and now it's a 1-hour chartered flight. So you go on a 737, and when you get to Dawson City, you go back in time. It's like you are back in the days of the gold rush. You'll walk the unpaved streets and wooden boardwalks, see false front buildings. You might meet some interesting characters along the way. And all of our journeys in 2020 on Yukon and Denali Land+Sea Journeys all include 2 nights in Dawson City, as well as a ride on the beautiful Klondike Spirit paddle wheeler. So you'll get to see where the Yukon and the Klondike rivers meet, and it's just a beautiful way to kind of step back and be on the river the way the Stampeders first arrived when they got to Dawson. Now you might be wondering, how did those Stampeders get to Dawson? They did not have a chartered flight, and before the river, they had to make it to the river. They went one of 2 routes, and one route is the Chilkoot Trail. Yeah, some of you recognize this photo. This is a famous picture of the hardest part of the Chilkoot Trail. It's called the Chilkoot Pass. And they actually carved steps into the snow, and they had to make 30 to 40 trips getting their 1 ton of supplies and goods over the mountains. So it's this part's right in the middle. It's a 33-mile trail. You can actually hike it today. I hiked it last year. It only takes 3 to 5 days if you have a 30-pound pack, not a ton of goods. As well, I like this photo of the sign because Skagway and the trail are part of Klondike Gold Rush National Historic Park. There are actually artifacts along the trail, and it's just a really special place. But don't worry, you do not have to hike, as Kelsey said. We're not making you drive or hike. You get the nice way. The second way that Stampeders went was the White Pass Yukon Railway. And if your land journey visits Skagway while you're on the land portion, that includes a ride on the White Pass Yukon Route narrow gauge railway in or out of Skagway. Now, if you visit Skagway as part of your cruise, as a cruise port, you can also book this as a shore excursion. And Kelsey mentioned it's her favorite excursion. And every year I have someone on my tour that says this was the highlight of their entire journey. So make a little note. However you end up in Skagway, you can do this as well. Let's hear from one of our conductors.
Skagway was basically settled during the Klondike Gold Rush of 1898. When they struck the gold here, and everyone heard these headlines of gold, 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 tens of thousands of people rushed to come to the gold rush. This was their lottery, their power level, their time. And they realized that a railroad would be needed to carry these people up there and to carry the gold back. And we've been operating ever since 1898 when the railroad was built. My name is Mike Sika. I'm a conductor for the White Pass Railroad in Skagway, Alaska. And I'm responsible for the movement of the train, the coordination of my coworkers. It's a great challenge.
Good to see you guys again.
I'm really fortunate to get to work the summer trains. People get to ride with us for 3 to 3.5 hours. And they're going to be thinking that this train took them for a magic scenic railway of the world ride. It's going to be something they can't see anywhere else. I think one of the most incredible things about this job is the connection we make with other people.
How many we got? Thanks for coming with us. Are you having a good cruise?
When guests come off the Holland America Line ships and they get onto this train, And they're going to be hearing the rocking and the rolling of the train, the whistles, the history. It is a universal experience. And it's that connection that makes them feel they're not only observing the experience, but they're part of it.
The Yukon's so special, and I really think that Robert Service says it best in his poem, The Spell of the Yukon, and I'd like to share a little bit of it with you. I think it illustrates the feelings that you have as you travel through these landscapes, and it goes like this. There's a land where the mountains are nameless, and the rivers all run God knows where. There are lives that are erring and aimless, and deaths that just hang by a hair. There are hardships that nobody reckons. There are valleys unpeopled and still. There's a land, oh, it beckons and beckons, and I want to go back, and I will. There's gold, and it's haunting and haunting. It's luring me on as of old. Yet it isn't the gold that I'm wanting, so much as just finding the gold. It's the great, big, broad land way up yonder. It's the forest where silence has lease. It's the beauty that thrills me with wonder. It's the stillness that fills me with peace. It's beautiful, right?
Yes.
What's really, really special about the Yukon is that you get a tour director that's included, one of us, to handle all of your logistics, give you some recommendations for places to eat, things to do, things to see, basically just make your vacation as easy as possible.
Now, we have a little video of one of our senior-most tour directors, Scott Carter. He's been doing this for 20 years, and we really think he says it best.
I remember I was here 20 years ago, and my favorite part is seeing it through the guest eyes, watching them just light up. That's what I really enjoy, and that's why I keep coming back. Hi, my name is Scott Carter, and I'm a journey host of Holland America Line. I thought I was going to be a journey host for a couple of years, but really I fell in love with the job. Watching my guests turn the corner and see a new mountain, or see an animal, see Denali for the first time. Being with Holland America Line creates this connection with my guests. You know, they'll come up to you at the end of the tour and say, that was amazing. You know, you really ran the tour. You put it all together. We didn't have to worry about anything. I want to be part of that experience. I want them to remember their tour with Holland America when they go home and say, that was great. That was amazing. I'll never forget it.
So now that we've given you an idea of how to get there, you probably have a few questions about what to bring. From my experience, you'll definitely want a camera, you'll definitely want chargers, extra batteries, and binoculars. Definitely one for each person in your group, because you'll never know when you might see a moose walking down the sidewalk or a bear on the shoreline, whales off the side. It's pretty incredible. You'll also want to bring your sense of adventure, and you'll probably pack a little less than you think. In Alaska, this is pretty much dressed as formal as you'd like. On the ship, there are those formal nights, so you can bring, you know, your nice clothes for that. But it is your vacation, so you can be as casual or as formal as you'd like. But you won't need to be like California. You don't need those big parkas or giant jackets.
In Alaska, we say dress like an onion in layers. If you look at our rugged friend to the left here, you'll notice he's wearing an undershirt, an overshirt, warm fleece, and then a weatherproof jacket with a hood. And Alaska Rachel, transplant, she knows to bring her knit cap and gloves. Although you won't always need them, you want to have them with you. We say dress like an onion in layers, so you can add and remove those layers as you're out and about. We don't want you behind the glass checking out that glacier. We want you up close and personal, experiencing it firsthand. And what else might you want for those layers? As you take them off, you can stuff them away in a little backpack or pack-away bag and keep on adventuring.
And then shoes, we get that question all the time. I'm looking around, everyone is wearing Alaskan shoes right now. It's perfect. They're those shoes that you might also have in your closet that are just too comfortable to throw away. Those are the ones you want to bring to Alaska.
Now something else, very important. Does anyone notice anything about this photo, these two photos? What are we wearing? Shorts. You are right. It can get very warm in Alaska. In Fairbanks, during the summertime, there are days where it can actually reach 90 degrees Fahrenheit. And in Anchorage this summer, they actually broke a record and they also hit 90 degrees. So you might be in Alaska during one of those days where it's a heat spell or a little spike. So definitely pack a pair of shorts and pack a couple short sleeve shirts. That way you're ready to go no matter what the weather is.
And then another question we get is, when is the best time to go to Alaska? Well, we kind of like to say when you have the most time to go, because our season runs from about May to September, and you can't really rely on the weather. All the seasons are pretty beautiful. We actually have almost all 4 seasons in the May to September time.
Starts with spring, mid-May into early June. This is when the snow has melted, wildflowers are starting to bloom. Locals and their locals, wildlife, and all their little babies are all coming out to play.
And then our summertime runs from mid-June to mid-August. This is the time when it's packed with fishing, wildflowers change pretty much every single week, and we have the midnight sun. As you can see at the top, that is a time lapse from June 21st, summer solstice, which is our longest day of the year. And the photo below was taken by Rachel on June 20th at 11:30 p.m. at night. So as you can see, we have no shortage of sunlight in Alaska.
And this brings us to fall. Fall is when the leaves are starting to change, giving depth to these vast landscapes you're traveling through. And it's also when it's finally getting dark enough to see the northern lights. Now, the northern lights, they actually occur year-round in Alaska, but because of that midnight sun Kelsey was talking about, you just can't see them. It has to be dark and clear. Now, after the summer solstice, June 21st, Alaska loses about 6 minutes of daylight each day. So every 10 days, that's about an hour. And by the time you get to the end of August and really into September, that's when you can finally have that chance to see those northern lights. If northern lights are number 1 on your bucket list, make a note. You want to come at the end of August or really into September. That's your best chance. And then one other thing we like to point out is that Holland America Line is fully mobility compliant on all modes of transportation. So we really want the Great Land open to everyone. So if you have any specific needs, let your travel agent know. That way they can send those requests ahead of time for you.
And with Holland America, we have people that can take you all over. We've been in Alaska for over 70 years, and we have more local knowledge and more places that we go to. We have gracious and attentive world-class service.
Ships are perfectly sized to get you closer to those adventures.
And all of our cruises include Glacier Bay.
Longer stays, including the Tundra Wilderness Tour at Denali National Park.
And we are one of the only major cruise companies that get you onto the land and into the Yukon.
Now, as a thank you for coming with us today, we have some promotions for joining us at Onstage Alaska, and we're going to invite up Samantha to come share some of those with you.
How is everybody? I'm Samantha. I work for Holland America. I'm so excited that everybody's here, and I get to talk about the good stuff, the specials. Not that what you guys talk about was the good stuff, but the stuff we're going to give you for booking with Cruise Holidays and for coming to the show tonight. So the first thing is we have a limited time offer for 2 weeks after today. You've got an opportunity to get a shipboard credit. If you're going to do land, you can get what are called Denali dollars. You can spend those at Denali Square, like you saw, to get beverages, food, souvenirs. And then, of course, if you go to the Yukon, you're going to get even more Denali dollars. So depending on what you cruise, what you choose, whether it's cruise only or if it's Land+Sea Journey, that's going to determine the amount of the shipboard credit and the Denali dollars that you're going to get. So that's the first offer, and that's an exclusive for coming to the show. So that's for everybody in this room. And if you have, let's say you came and you left you're planning on bringing your entire family, you're doing a multi-generational trip, and the people that are not here, because you are here, you can get that offer for them. So just to let you know, you don't necessarily have to be here, but you have to be here to find out about it. So that is the first offer. And another great offer that we have, if you're looking to go in 2020 to Alaska, we've got our Explore 4 promotion. This is our best sale of the year for Holland America. What you're going to get is up to an $800 shipboard credit. So again, the shipboard credit, if you haven't cruised before, it's basically just like money on your account. You can use it for tours, you can use it for the spa, which is my favorite. You can use it for specialty dining, beverages, the beverage package that we have. We have a lot of different options, which is why booking with a travel agent is such a wonderful thing, because they can explain all that to you, because there are a lot of moving parts when planning these trips. So the shipboard credit, and again, that's going to depend on what category of stateroom you have. So whether your cabin is an inside cabin, you're going to get at least $400, and then it moves on up from there depending on which kind of cabin that you're in is going to determine the amount you're going to get. And then a 50% reduced deposit. I love this offer because our Land+Sea Journeys have quite a hefty deposit amount. So if you're looking to book and then put your deposit down and then kind of pay as you go, take your time, paying through, the deposit's going to be reduced to 50%. So that's a great offer, especially for Land+Sea Journeys. And then you're going to get a complimentary Pinnacle Grill dinner. Pinnacle Grill is our steakhouse. We've got steak, seafood, we've got options for vegetarians if you're a vegetarian. It's a delicious meal. It's like having a delicious steak meal at sea, if you like steak. There are other options, like I mentioned. And then another thing that is great about this offer, this is new for 2020, is that we're going to give away the premium internet package if you book a veranda, which is a balcony cabin, or above. You're going to get the premium internet package. I always like to tell people to unplug when you go on vacation. Put the screens down. We're all too attached to everything. However, you do want to send those photos and the videos out to brag of what you're seeing, so all of your friends and your family can see, what you're up to in Alaska. So the premium internet package does come in handy for that, and then of course to stay in touch with loved ones, children, parents. So the premium internet package would be for guests 1 and 2 in the cabin, so basically 2 devices in your cabin. And a 7-night cruise, the internet package is $139. So that's quite a value once you're stacking all these offers, plus the exclusive offer that you get for booking with Cruise Holidays in Kansas City. So those are the offers that we have. And you guys have anything else?
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to me.
Thanks, Samantha. I just want to point out some pages in your booklets. It's the one with the kind of like the pink and yellow front, the thicker one. And if you turn to page 4, this is the beginning of the cruising section. So you turn to page 4, and then as you flip a couple pages, you'll see more details, and then there's a grid with some nice, it kind of lays out all the different cruises and tells you where you will be at what time. So that's starts on page 4, and then you flip a few pages and you'll see the little diagram. And then if you go to page 12, that's the beginning of the Denali Land+Sea Journeys. So it starts on page 12 for Denali Land+Sea. And then again, if you flip a few pages, you'll see where they've got that nice little breakdown where it will show you when you're on land, when you're at sea, how you're getting to each place, and when you're going there. And then if you turn to page 22 is the beginning of the Yukon and Denali Land+Sea Journey. So that's where you have everything all together. And I think it's page 28 or 29 that actually shows the little grid, and it'll show you if you're cruising first, going on land first, where you're going, how you're getting there, train, plane, motor coach. So that's really handy for when you're looking at what you want to do. And then we also like to point out another thing that we like to say at Holland America Line. The internet is for looking, but your travel agent is for booking. And we really value our partnerships with our travel agents, and especially what Mark said, Cruise Holidays of Kansas City, they know what they're doing. They are here to really make sure that you get on the Alaska trip of your dreams, the one that's right for you. So we really encourage you to take advantage of these experienced professional travel agents. Let them build that trip of a lifetime for you. Keep those dollars right here in your community and have the best time ever. Okay, who wants to win a prize? Yeah? Okay, hopefully, is there anyone who hasn't turned in their door prize entry form? I think most of y'all did it outside. Everyone? Okay, great. Well, let's see who are we going to have as winner. Our first prize will be for, let's do this beautiful Holland America Line Signature Excellence Ball Cap. And our first winner is Marlene Lednicki. Woo! Congrats. Next, we will do a set of Holland America Line luggage tags.
Let's dig a little deep for those of you who got here first. That's Joy or Jay Lettucey? Oh! Ah! You all need to go cruise with those two.
They have all the luck. Next, we have a beautiful book by Holland America Line, but it's all about Denali. It's called Denali, a literary anthology. So definitely for those folks who like to read up on where they're going ahead of time, it's perfect.
If I pick your two names, Todd Christopherson. There we go.
Congrats.
There we go, Todd.
And then we have one more prize. It is a pack-away Holland America Line tote bag, so you can bring all those awesome souvenirs home.
I'm not looking, okay? Joyce Holford? There we go. All right, Joyce.
Congrats to our winners.
Thank you guys. And so we could stand up here all day and show you these beautiful photos of Alaska, but what's really, really special about Alaska is that it's much more than a photo. It's a feeling. When you're in Alaska, you just feel this amazing energy when you're there. So we cannot wait to see you guys there. So see you in Alaska.
Thank you. We're gonna hand it over to Mark.
One more round of applause for these two ladies. That's a lot of fun. If I can, I'll introduce to you our staff here, and if Alaska looks like it's going to work for you this coming season in 2020, it is my strongest counsel to begin that planning process now. And again, we are not high pressure. We do have all of these incentives. We do know the destinations of Alaska, and there are so many options, so many options. Let us help you find the best option that's right for you at the right time of the year. All these ladies in that beautiful hot coral. That's my favorite color of the outfits that we wear. And Kim North, raise your hand. Kim just got back. You just got back how many days ago?
A little over a week.
A little over a week. Those of you in the beginning, I was showing you the pictures of Alaska, of the whales in Alaska at Sitka. That was taken by Kim on her cruise. So with that said, the ladies here are all knowledgeable about Alaska. They're knowledgeable about the promotions going on, and they will help find you what's best for you. You can start that process today if you'd like. We can wait for you. We can work with you right now. We can set an appointment at another time, whatever's best for you. But again, remember, beat the rush, because Alaska is so popular year in and year out. You will get the best availability right now. You will get the best pricing right now. So with that said, thank you everybody.